Man, my shoulder hurts, but no pain, no gain, right?
We'll be seeing him soon.
If you're working out with shoulder pain, thinking you're making your shoulder stronger, you couldn't be more wrong. It just means that you're one bad rep away from surgery. Hey guys, Dr. Rob here. Welcome back to the Art of Recovery. So we are going to be going over the 5 key mistakes people continue to make in the gym that keeps them in pain, as well as the prerequisite stability and strengthening exercises I have all my clients go through that come to me in shoulder pain from lifting overhead. And to get you back to safely doing this very important compound movement that most orthopedic surgeons tell you to stop doing because it will wreck your shoulders. So make sure you stick around to the end because we have a free downloadable PDF with a lot of our exercises in it. All right guys, so mistake number 1 is when somebody develops shoulder pain, most likely rotator cuff tendonitis from the overhead press or really just strengthening shoulders in general. They keep raising their arm to see if the pain is gone. All this does is it keeps the tendon inflamed. So the one diagnostic tool we use in the clinic, which you can also use at home, is what we call the empty can versus full can test. All right, so imagine you have a can in your hand. The full can test is raising your arm up against resistance, so hold that there, don't let me push down, and that should trigger shoulder pain right in the front or anterior portion of the shoulder. What happens is, as the tendon snakes through underneath the collarbone, if it is inflamed, it starts to get impinged up against the collarbone, creating pain. That would be the worst case scenario. The empty can, so imagine you have that can in your hand and you're dumping out the contents of the can. Raising your arm straight up against resistance there, so push up. If that creates pain, that's the start of rotator cuff tendonitis. So if you have a positive empty can test, that alerts you that something needs to be done. If you have a full can test, you have full-blown rotator cuff tendonitis and you need care immediately. Mistake number 2 is people tend to track pain rather than their performance to see if they are improving. So you want to be able to move your arm through a full range of motion that is both smooth, stable, and strong. Not go by pain, which is really only a symptom, right? So if you're talking about shoulder pressing and the pain starts here, you want to be able to stay below that and work that range and develop a smooth, stable, and strong movement up to the pain. Once the shoulder starts healing, you can start slowly progressing higher and higher. And the key is to get to full range of motion before placing that shoulder under load. So track performance, not pain. So mistake number 3 I see all the time in the gym is people go to the barbell overhead press way too heavy, too early. I have my clients have to pass this test of these 4 simple exercises before I ever turn them loose on a barbell press. All right, so they are the half kneeling landmine press, all right, that should be smooth and clean, no clicking of the shoulder, and you should feel strong and stable there. Number 1. Number 2 is the bottoms up kettlebell press. This could be done kneeling, it can be done standing, right? You want to stay in the plane of the scapula, so that's at a 45-degree angle to keep the stress off of the supraspinatus tendon. And that has to be very smooth and stable, right? You don't want that kettlebell shaking like that. If that's happening, the kettlebell is too heavy and you want to lighten that. Remember, it's about light weights in the beginning and control of that weight with very strict form. The next is the Z press. All right, so you're going to sit with your legs out in a V and shoulder press from here. That allows no movement of the upper body, no leaning back, no using your legs, no momentum, and that's all on the shoulders. If you want, you can do one arm and have the other one stabilizing. You can go on and off in a rhythm like that, or just a normal double hand overhead press. And finally is the full can exercise. All right, you can use a dumbbell or the cable. Now the cable adds a little bit more resistance to that rotator cuff, but remember, it's thumb in the up position on that 45-degree angle, coming up, and then a slow lower. That slow lower will put a lot of stress on the rotator cuff tendon, making sure that it's properly rehabbed before entering into that overhead press. So follow those 4 prerequisites before lifting heavy overhead. So mistake number 4 is that people don't properly warm up the rotator cuffs before hitting that overhead press. And this is a guaranteed disaster for your shoulders. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to perform band pull-aparts. Grab a band and just pull your shoulder blades together, pulling apart the band. You want to do that for high reps, right? So 12, 15, even 20 repetitions, right? Next is the band pull apart up and overs, coming all the way back and forward, keeping tension on the band at the whole time. 10 to 15 to 20 repetitions there. Then it's the band pull apart shrug ups. So you're going to shrug up to the ceiling, keeping tension on the band at the whole time. Then it's pull apart depressions. So just pulling those shoulder blades down towards the floor, pulling straight down. All right, next is the W's. So just making a W with your arms, just like that. Okay, and then finally is the push-up with a plus. So you're getting in the push-up position, and you're just pushing your shoulder away from the floor, like that. All right, high reps on all these guys, 15 to 20 repetitions. Don't fatigue your shoulders too much, because remember, this is just a warm-up to prepare your rotator cuffs for that heavy overhead press. And for the 5th and final mistake, people tend to progress themselves too quickly. I get it, you want to get better, you want to get stronger, but remember, rehab is just a platform. You're constantly rehabbing your shoulders, so progress very slowly. Make sure you can perform 4 sets of 12 repetitions comfortably with good form before progressing the load on your shoulders. That way you'll not only keep your shoulders healthy, but you'll keep all the other joints in your body working at optimal levels. Remember guys, this is a journey, not a sprint. So make sure you're progressing slowly. And don't forget to download your free PDF, which is in the descriptions. And we will see you on the next one.